The crunch of bones under the tire is a sound I'll never forget. I was 16, standing in our driveway after another argument with Marcus, my stepdad of 3 years. He'd been drinking again, furious that I'd asked to join the school's photography club instead of the football team he coached. "Get back here," he shouted from the driver's seat of his black SUV. I kept walking, clutching my camera to my chest. That's when I heard the engine rev. I didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. The impact knocked me forward, my camera shattering on the concrete. Pain exploded through my right leg as the front tire rolled over it. Then, inexplicably, he reversed. My mom stood on the porch, hands covering her mouth. "Marcus, stop," she screamed, but not before the tire crossed my leg again. I lay there, the world spinning, watching my blood mix with leaked transmission fluid on our pristine suburban driveway. The pain was excruciating, but what hurt more was watching my mom rush to Marcus first, helping him out of the car. "He shouldn't have provoked you," she whispered to him, loud enough for me to hear. "Tommy knows better than to walk away when you're talking." My name is Tommy Anderson, and that night changed everything. Not because of what Marcus did, he'd been escalating his violence for months, but because of what happened next. Mom finally helped me up, practically dragging me inside while Marcus stumbled off to his home office. "We need to get you to the hospital," I gasped, my leg barely supporting my weight. "Don't be dramatic," she replied, her voice tight. "It's just bruising. We can't afford attention right now. Not with Marcus up for department head at the high school." She made me sit at the kitchen table while she grabbed frozen peas from the freezer. "Besides," she continued, not meeting my eyes, "what would people think? Your stepdad's the most respected football coach in the district. Nobody would believe he'd do this." I stared at her, disbelief mixing with pain. "There's tire marks on my leg, Mom. Literal tire tracks." "You got those from a bicycle accident," she said firmly, finally looking at me. "That's what we'll tell anyone who asks. Marcus is sorry. I'm sure he's just stressed about the upcoming season." I wanted to scream, to shake her until she saw what was happening to our family. But I'd learned over the past 3 years that my mother's denial was stronger than any evidence I could present. That night I barely slept. My leg throbbed despite the ice and ibuprofen. I could hear them arguing downstairs. Mom's pleading whispers met with Marcus' drunken shouts. By morning they had crafted their story. "I've been careless with my bike. Wasn't watching where I was going." Marcus had even damaged my old bicycle to match the narrative. "Remember, Tommy," Mom said as I limped to the car for school, "nobody would understand if we break up our family. That's what you want." I didn't answer. My leg felt like it was on fire, and climbing into the car was agony. Mom noticed my grimace but kept talking about protecting our family, about how Marcus was under so much pressure, about how I needed to be more understanding at school. I tried to hide my limp, but by third period the pain was unbearable. My English teacher, Ms. Martinez, noticed immediately. She'd always been observant. Too observant sometimes. "Tommy," she called as other students filed out for lunch, "could you stay a moment?" I froze, recognizing the concern in her voice. The same tone she'd used last month when she noticed bruises on my arms. Bruises I blamed on football practice, even though I'd quit the team weeks before. "I'm fine," I said quickly, gathering my books. "Just a bike accident." Ms. Martinez closed the classroom door. "That's interesting," she said quietly, "because I saw your stepfather's car this morning. There was blood on the front tire." My heart stopped. Ms. Martinez lived 3 houses down from us. How had Mom and Marcus forgotten that? I started to repeat the bicycle story, but Ms. Martinez held up her hand. "Tommy, I need you to listen carefully," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "What I saw this morning, combined with the bruises I've noticed over the past few months, this isn't something I can ignore. And you shouldn't have to live like this." Tears filled my eyes as the weight of my secret started to crack. "My mom says nobody would believe me," I whispered. "I believe you," Ms. Martinez said simply. "And I'm going to help you. But first we need to get that leg looked at properly." As she reached for her phone to call the school nurse, I heard my mother's words echo in my head. Nobody would understand. But looking at Ms. Martinez, I realized maybe some people would understand, all too well. The school nurse took one look at my leg and called an ambulance. Through the haze of pain, I heard phrases like possible fracture and severe trauma. Mom arrived before the paramedics, her face a mask of barely controlled panic. It was a bicycle accident, she announced to everyone in the nurse's office, her voice too loud, too insistent. Tommy's always been clumsy with that bike. Ms. Martinez stepped forward, positioning herself between me and Mom. Stevens, I think we all know that's not true. Her voice was calm but firm. I saw what happened in your driveway this morning. The color drained from Mom's face. You don't understand, she whispered. Marcus is a good man. He has moments. Moments. Ms. Martinez's voice sharpened. Is that what we're calling running over your son with a car now? The arrival of the paramedics interrupted their confrontation. As they loaded me onto the stretcher, I caught glimpses of a growing crowd outside the nurse's office. Among them was Marcus, his face red with either anger or embarrassment, probably both. This is ridiculous, he boomed, pushing through the crowd. The boy's fine, just seeking attention like always. That's when Dr. Harris, our principal, stepped in. Coach Stevens, I think it's best if you leave the premises immediately. Her voice carried the weight of authority Marcus wasn't used to facing. The police have been called. Police. Mom's voice cracked. No, there's been a misunderstanding. Tommy, tell them about the bike accident. But I couldn't lie anymore. Maybe it was the pain. Or maybe it was seeing Ms. Martinez standing there, unwavering in her support. He ran over my leg, I said loud enough for everyone to hear. Twice. Because I didn't want to play football. The hallway fell silent. I could feel Marcus' rage building, see Mom's desperate attempts to maintain control slipping away. But for the first time in 3 years I felt stronger than both of them. At the hospital, the x-rays confirmed what the nurse suspected. My leg was broken in 2 places. The tire tracks were clearly visible in the bruising, making Mom's bicycle story impossible to maintain. Detective Sanders sat with me while they set my leg. She had kind eyes but took detailed notes as I finally told the whole story, not just about last night but about the past 3 years. The accidents that always seemed to happen when I disappointed Marcus, the way Mom would cover for him, make excuses and tell me I was exaggerating. Your teacher saved your life, Detective Sanders said quietly. These injuries were escalating. People like your stepfather, they don't stop on their own. Mom paced the hospital hallway, alternating between trying to see me and calling Marcus' lawyer. The hospital staff kept her away, citing the ongoing police investigation. Through my partially open door, I heard her desperate attempts to explain everything away. He's a respected member of the community, she kept saying. This will ruin his career. Tommy's just sensitive. He misunderstood. Ms. Martinez stayed with me until my Aunt Helen arrived from out of state. She brought photos she'd been secretly taking over the past few months. Bruises, cuts, the way I flinched when Marcus was near. I knew something was wrong, she explained to Detective Sanders. I just needed proof before I could help. The hospital social worker explained what would happen next. Marcus had been arrested, charges pending. Mom's attempts to cover up the abuse made her complicit. She wouldn't be allowed to take me home. Aunt Helen volunteered to become my temporary guardian. What about football season? Mom wailed when they told her. What about Marcus' career? What about your son's life? Aunt Helen snapped, showing more anger than I'd ever seen from her. It could have killed Tommy. And you're worried about football. 2 days later they wheeled me out of the hospital, my leg in a cast and my future uncertain. I saw Marcus' face splashed across the local news. Respected coach arrested for attempted murder of stepson. The story spread through the community like wildfire, destroying the perfect image Mom had tried so hard to protect. Miss Martinez visited me at Aunt Helen's house that weekend, I remembered, bringing my homework and a new camera to replace the one that broke in the driveway. You still want to join that photography club? She asked with a smile. I nodded, feeling tears well up again. But these were different tears. Tears of relief, of gratitude, of finally feeling safe. Then we'll make it happen, she said firmly. Your story isn't over, Tommy. It's just beginning. 6 months later I sat in the courthouse, my leg finally healed, but my hands shaking as I prepared to testify. Marcus' trial had drawn significant media attention. The beloved coach exposed as an abuser. Mom sat on his side of the courtroom, still clinging to the remains of their life together. The court calls Thomas Anderson, the bailiff announced. At my high school graduation I gave a speech about speaking truth to power, about how silence protects abusers, not families. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes, but the real victory was seeing other students come forward afterward, sharing their own stories, breaking their own silences. Aunt Helen threw a graduation party at her house. As I looked around at my new support system, teachers, counselors, friends who stood by me, even some of Marcus' former players who finally spoke up about his abusive coaching tactics, I realized something profound. Family isn't just about blood or marriage. It's about who stands with you when standing up is the hardest thing to do. It's about who believes you when others call you a liar. It's about who helps you rebuild when everything falls apart. My leg healed stronger than before. The doctor said that's common with broken bones, but I think it's true for broken people too. We heal stronger in the places we were broken, as long as we have the right support to help us mend. Marcus will serve his sentence and Mom will live with her choices. But me? I'm focused on the future, on using my voice and my camera to make sure no other kid believes the lie that nobody will understand, nobody will believe, nobody will help. As somebody always will. Sometimes they live just 3 houses down, watching through a classroom window, ready to stand up when you can't stand alone.